This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. You can't be a male, born a male, transitioning to female, and think that you should have the right to compete with women.
This is not about being anti-anything. This is about being pro-girls, pro-females, pro-women, pro-ladies. Look, when Stephen A. Smith dropped that absolute bomb live on air, ESPN went completely dead silent. Welcome back to Basketball Daily Stories, family. For years, the big corporate networks danced around this topic, terrified of getting canceled or losing sponsors. But when the biggest, loudest voice in sports media slammed his fist on the desk and called out the cowardice around biological males in women's sports, the entire narrative blew up instantly. He didn't stutter, and he definitely didn't apologize. He looked right into the camera and said what millions of real sports fans have been screaming at their TVs for years. You can't be born male, transition, and think you have a natural right to walk onto the court against biological women without completely destroying fair play.
You can't be a male, born a male, transitioning to female, and think that you should have the right to compete with women. Not in basketball. Not in football, not in boxing, not in the UFC. Hell, not even in tennis.
To really get why this hit so hard, you have to look at what female hoopers have been dealing with behind closed doors. Imagine grinding your entire life, waking up at 5 a.m., sacrificing your weekends, tearing up your knees, all to reach the highest level of women's basketball. You're dreaming of college scholarships and WNBA roster spots. Then suddenly, suit-wearing executives changed the rules overnight without asking you. Female athletes who dared to speak up were threatened, told they'd lose their spots, or forced to stay quiet for good PR. The frustration in those locker rooms was reaching a boiling point when players like Sophie Cunningham finally spoke out, asking the media to actually focus on basketball instead of forced political distractions. It exposed a massive rift in the sport. These women aren't just fighting rival teams anymore. They're fighting their own league's leadership, just to protect their category. They're watching record books get altered and opportunities handed away, all while being told to smile for the camera and take it. It's a deep betrayal, and the anger has been building for way too long.
WNBA media, all we ever do is cover everything except basketball. And it's like what are we doing? There's so much, you can talk about other things. I think those are great stories. I think it shows fans, who people are outside of the court. But I also think we got to keep the main thing. And I think when it comes to the Minnesota game, I think there is so much distraction. But the matchup between Miles and Kelsey was phenomenal. Our team, that game in particular was a great game. And so I think that there's a lot to be said, and I'm going to let people just do the speaking for themselves. But for me, I want to get back to basketball. It's always been about basketball.
Things completely boiled over when WNBA coaches started actively calling out their own players. Look at Minnesota Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve. She chose a massive, high-visibility game against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever to wear protest shirts and push political statements. Think about that timing for a second. Sponsors started panicking behind the scenes. When leadership puts their personal political views above the financial health and brand of the WNBA, everybody loses. Fans who just want to watch world-class hoops get alienated. Sponsors run for the hills, and the players become collateral damage. The hypocrisy is wild. How can you be paid to lead female athletes, but openly support policies that undermine those exact same women? The disconnect between corporate suits and actual sports fans grew into a massive canyon. Arena crowds started making noise. Ratings took a hit, and the sports world fractured right down the middle between common sense and corporate optics.
We gotta stop acting like somebody that's speaking up on behalf of girls, like a Sophie Cunningham, like a Riley Gaines, are scourges of the earth. You are Cheryl Reeve, the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx. That is an irresponsible thing to do. You are a coach for a female basketball team. Do you not think that the females are being screwed over if they have to compete against a individual born as a male? What are you talking about?
And look, this isn't just happening in domestic hoops. It's happening all across global sports. Overseas, biological males are stepping onto the floor in women's leagues, and the statistical destruction is ridiculous. We're talking about average guys who couldn't make a men's bench dropping 21 points and 20 rebounds a game like it's a video game on easy mode. It's not competitive basketball. It's a breakdown of biological reality. Muscle mass, bone density, and explosive strength don't just disappear because someone puts on a different jersey. When a 6'3" player bulldozes through biological female defenders like they're made of paper, that isn't sportsmanship, it's an absolute joke. In tennis, fighting, and basketball, the male advantage built through puberty creates a gap no amount of female training can bridge. Serena Williams, literally the greatest female athlete ever, serves at speeds that are routine for average male pros. That's not shade, that's basic human biology. Yet media outlets spent years trying to gaslight fans into ignoring what their own eyes were showing them every single night. Then came the moment media executives never saw coming. The women finally fought back together. The wall of fear completely cracked. It started with courageous athletes like Riley Gaines in swimming, spread to WNBA stars demanding a return to real hoops, and reached international tennis as players backed mandatory gender testing. One pro tennis player laid it out perfectly in an interview. Biology matters, men are naturally stronger, and testing protects fairness. When the actual players stepped up to the mic and rejected the pre-approved media script, the corporate narrative crumbled. Networks couldn't frame every critic as an extreme hater when world-class female athletes were saying the exact same thing live on TV. The dam broke, period. One by one, players realized they had safety in numbers. The media's favorite weapon, shaming people into silence, completely lost its edge. Here is the bottom line that nobody can argue with. Sports cannot exist without protected biological categories. If you erase the line protecting women's sports, you erase women from sports altogether. The math is simple. Average male collegiate athletes have physical stats that beat female world champions in speed, strength, and power. The path forward takes real guts from the people who actually run this industry: the athletes, the fans, and the viewers. Common sense is aggressively taking back territory. Leagues that listen to their fans and defend their female players are thriving, while the ones doubling down on virtue signaling are losing ratings and trust. When players like Sophie Cunningham tell the media to keep the main thing, they're showing us the way back to what makes sports great: pure skill, authentic competition, and fair play. Fans are voting with their remote controls and their wallets, tuning out preachy broadcasts and supporting real athletic achievement. The future of sports belongs to those who stand on truth, protect female competitors, and refuse to let corporate optics destroy decades of progress. Broadcasters and league commissioners are finally being forced to face reality because the noise from real sports fans has become way too loud to ignore. At the end of the day, sports show us who we are, and fair competition is something we can never afford to surrender. We have to back the female athletes who have the courage to stand up, demand that leagues enforce biological fairness, and call out the media when they put politics over the game. This isn't just about trophies or stat sheets. It's about making sure every young girl who picks up a basketball has a fair shot at her dream. Protecting women's sports isn't political. It's about basic fairness, biological truth, and standing up for female athletes. If we don't protect fair competition now, women's sports simply won't exist tomorrow. Stand up for truth, support these athletes, and smash that subscribe button to Basketball Daily Stories so you never miss another real breakdown.